Hey, Shark fans, it's Melinda with another episode of Heard It on the Shark. And today in Sun Bear Studio, I have with me a Pine Grove senior, Michaela Chapman. Now, last year, Michaela came to me, her career coach thought that it would be good for her to have some time in a studio because she was thinking about doing what was it? Broadcast engineering?
Sound engineering type
Sound
stuff.
engineering. Sound engineering. And so this in Ripley was the closest that she could come to something like that. So she came in and shadowed for just a day and we got to know each other. And then just recently, Michaela reached out and let me know that she has received this amazing scholarship that she's worked really hard for. And I said, "Oh, Michaela, please come in and interview with me about this scholarship because I feel like other children, other seniors, juniors might want to reach for the stars like you have and try to get this scholarship." So, first of all, Michaela, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
You've worked really hard for this and you should be proud of yourself. Go ahead. You can say that you're proud of yourself. That's all right.
I guess I am. I mean, it was a long, very long process, but I'm glad I did it because at the beginning it seemed so competitive, and they only take about 7 to 10% of students who apply for it. So I probably would have been heartbroken if I hadn't, but at the same time, it was still very competitive, and I was ready to face the reality that it just might not happen.
The odds were not in your favor, but you did it anyway. That's what's so amazing to me. And so I want you to say the name of the scholarship and how you began down this journey.
Okay, so it's the National College Match Scholarship through QuestBridge, which is an organization based out of Palo Alto, California, and their whole mission was connecting students from low income backgrounds to top colleges. So, what happened is that back in, I believe it was February of this year, I was reached out to by the Dean of Admissions at Yale University, who thought I would be a good fit for this college prep scholars program that was for high school juniors and basically would allow you to get some grants to go to these big summer programs at these universities. I didn't receive admission to any of these summer programs, but I think my status from having been selected for that was ultimately what helped me gain the match scholarship. And so, how the match works, it was for seniors, right? Just you get to apply to college for free because a lot of these private institutions, those application fees can really rack up. So
Okay. You know what? I hadn't even thought of that. So instead of applying to Yale and Harvard and Vanderbilt and Brown and you name the college, instead of separate applications, this is a one-stop shop. You apply one time and it goes to all these different, really like Ivy League level schools.
basically, yeah, there's 52 colleges in the network that you can apply to. It's basically all the big ones except for Harvard. I think they're not part of it. But how it works, you have your main scholarship and you turn it in, I think during December. Not December, but September. And after that, once you've submitted all of your writings and your financial aid statement and all that, you find out in October whether or not you've been selected as a finalist. And from that point, you might have some supplemental writings to do for each of the colleges that you ranked, because it's a ranking system. So, whichever colleges you want to go to first, you put that at the top, and then it just goes down, and you can rank up to 12.
So for people that maybe don't, these colleges are all like way out of reach for a regular person to pay for and to even try to get accepted to, right? I mean, they're not
basically,
you don't just go there. You have to be really exceptional to get together, and then it costs a lot of money. All of them. Okay. So, all right. So, did you rank the schools as in your top choice and so on?
Yeah, so I put Vanderbilt as my top, and then from there it was Johns Hopkins, Yale, Duke, Rice, and Notre Dame in that order. And once December 2nd was when I found out. And how it works is that if you get matched to the school, you're admitted early decision, full 4 year scholarship, which covers full tuition, housing, food, and you even get like a travel and a book stipend as well. And it pays for absolutely everything and it adjusts as the cost goes up if that happens. So it's a really good deal and I never thought. But I didn't get matched to my first choice, which was
Okay.
very disappointing.
Okay.
But
So, Vanderbilt was your dream. Vanderbilt, of course, is in Nashville. And that was your dream. But where did you get matched?
I got matched to Rice University, which, if you don't know, is in Houston, Texas, and is the place where John F. Kennedy gave his famous "We Choose to Go to the Moon" speech. And they were the first college to have a space training program. So basically, the entire space race in the 60s kind of started there.
So, not that bad of a choice for you there, Michaela, right?
It's not, and I'm very excited because Rice is known for their natural science programs, and I'm currently wanting to study neuroscience and go to med school, which, of course, Rice does not have a medical program or school. They don't even have a pre med major, but it doesn't really matter when you're applying to med school what your major is. So, but
Do they have a good acceptance rate? Does the school have a good acceptance rate?
they, well, the acceptance rate to Rice itself is 7 to 8%, but their medical school placement rate
Placement rate. Oh,
of percentage of students who apply to med school and get in is anywhere from 85 to 90%, where the national average I think is 40. So
okay.
it is
So,
an excellent pre-med school.
all right. So now you have done a lot of hard work. You have an excellent ACT score. You showed a lot of initiative to do all the paperwork yourself. But I want you to talk about the support people because nobody does it alone. Everybody has a team. So I would like for you to tell about the support team that you had that helped you along the way.
Well, I definitely have to start with my parents. They were always encouraging me and to make sure that I got the work done I needed, and my dad helped me out with a lot of the financial aid aspect of it, getting the tax returns and submitted and all that, and having to put all that information in, which can be very confusing, especially for an 18-year-old who has no idea how to do any of that stuff.
Absolutely. And as the mother of 18-year-olds trying to do it, I will say that doing your FAFSA alone is so hard. It's just difficult. So, okay, kudos to you for getting all that done. All right, your parents.
And then, of course, our guidance counselor at Pine Grove, Mr. Kevin Wells, who I've heard so many people say he's the greatest in the state. I personally think he's the best in the world, but he was always there. You know, if I ever needed a document printed out that needed to be turned in or signed, he was always there for that and was always doing research and just like I can't just describe enough how much he
Right.
helped me out on that.
It always takes just one or two people, your parents. It really helps to have your parents behind you. But then outside your parents, you got to have some teacher, some counselor, some adult who will advocate for you and help you get across the line because like you said, it's so competitive.
It
And
really
so, all
is.
right, now let's think forward. So, have you been have are you intimidated a little bit about how large Houston, Texas is and how far away from home you'll be, all of those things?
Oh, definitely. I think Houston is the fourth largest city in the country, so it's going to be a pretty big jump from Ripley, Mississippi to Houston. But I think I'll have a great support system at Rice for things like that and helping me navigate the city. So I'm very grateful for at least to have that. So
Yeah, and so you'll be able to travel home some you think about people getting homesick the first year. Usually after the first year you're fine, but the first year you've got a travel stipend built into your scholarship, right?
$700, yes.
Okay, so that'll at least get you a trip home, maybe. Okay, that's awesome. And do you have good study skills? You're ready to put your nose to the grindstone and study, or have you always studied?
I'll admit I've never really had too much, except for, of course, the ACT, and this past semester I've had a pretty um, somewhat difficult physics class, but it was. Other than that, I mean, I've never felt like I had to, but I definitely will in college, and I feel that I probably haven't built those skills as much as I should, but I think just being thrown into it, I'll adapt.
And so, what do you feel like your degree? What degree will you pursue?
My undergraduate, I'm going to be studying neuroscience because I have a lot of different interests, and from what I've learned about neuroscience is that it's heavily interdisciplinary. Like I think the required classes for it range from everything to biology and life sciences to artificial intelligence to psychology type stuff. So I'll get to get a little bit of everything in there, and it's also a great major for med school too just because a lot of those courses overlap with your pre-med requisites.
What do you expect to specialize in med school?
Hopefully neurology. I'm still wanting to study the nervous system, the brain, all that, maybe even be a neurosurgeon, but I'm kind of shooting for the stars there. I don't know. I may end up doing research instead of going the med school route. It's just a lot. There's so many options and I can't really just see myself doing one thing my entire life, so who knows?
Right, I agree. So, for people who would like to follow in your footsteps, give some two or three first steps.
Like just for Questbridge or just for like
I
in
would
general
say if they
applying to
want to,
colleges like
no,
that are
I would
Ivy
say
Leagues?
this particular application.
Well, I mean, the first thing I can say is just do it. Like it might feel intimidating and there is a good chance that you won't get it, but the thing about it, it is mainly for low income students. They define that as about people from a household that makes about 65K or less a year, which I think a huge portion of Mississippi students do fall into that. But if you
Absolutely.
come from that background and you've also just got like a really great GPA and a good ACT score, then definitely do it. But
What's the bottom end of ACT? I mean, where like if you have a 21, don't bother applying. What's the lowest that you think they would consider?
I mean, it's kind of a holistic process. They go through a lot of different aspects. I definitely work hard on your essays to start with, but most of their scholars have anywhere ranging from a 28 to a 33. So if you fall into that range, or if you just want to make sure that you can have a better chance of getting it, I try and get an ACT score that's in that range. I myself took it 5 times to get to a 33, so I definitely wasn't great the first time. I got a 26, but it was just.
Yeah, Michaela, a lot of people, would they'd kill for that
I
26.
know, but I mean, I took it. At the same time, I took it the summer after freshman year, so I don't think it was that bad considering. It's just it took me so many times, and the best thing you can do to get a better ACT score is just take it, keep taking it, because once you've simulated the testing conditions enough, the nerves and the anxiety just kind of melt away. Once you just walk in there, it's kind of like second nature. But
That's good advice for any test that's hard to do well on is to simulate the test. Take it several times so that the environment doesn't scare you quite so bad. Those 60 math questions in 60 minutes is not as bad the fifth time as the first time.
true. And also, I mean, just timing yourself and all that. Also, I'd recommend trying to find. There's a lot of online resources. Many are free and some aren't. But the one that my dad got for me was called Prep Scholar, and it was a year's worth, I think, for like $400, which might be a little steep for some people, but I think it really did help me out in the
Think
long
about
run.
that, Michaela, that $400. What do you think your rice college scholarship is going to top out at?
It's definitely, I think, the average tuition for all students at Rice is about $345,000.
Three. So let's just round on up to
Or not
four-
just tuition, but I mean just the cost of
the
everything.
whole thing. So easily $400,000 you could spend in the next 4 years over that $400 your daddy bought for you on that ACT prep. That's a good investment. That's great. Well, I'm very proud of you, and I'm really grateful that you took the time to come up here and tell other students how they can follow in your footsteps. It's a lot of hard work, but it has certainly paid off for you. And I hope you'll come back and let me know how you're doing next year.
I definitely will whenever I get the chance. It's going to be a lot of driving, probably.
That's right.
Unless I have to go by plane.
You may have to do a call-in interview next time.
Maybe.
Okay, thank you so much for coming in to talk.
Thank you for having me, Miss Marsalis.
Okay, Shark fans, that's it for this edition of Heard It on the Shark. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. to find out what's happening with our local community leaders. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for an interview, or you want access to this interview, go to our website, shark1023.com, and click on the interview tab. Keep it tuned to the Shark 1023 and have a great rest of the day.
Kudzu 104.9's corner of the world is chock full of talented musicians, and right in the middle of all that talent is Sun Bear Studio, a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music. We can create CDs and get your music out to all the major streaming platforms. So email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media. Record your first or your next hit with us.
Hey there! Did you know that every week radio reaches 90% of all people with disposable income? That's more than any other media. The fact is, radio is the #1 most effective and cost-effective ways to reach current and potential customers. If you have a business, service, or event you want to let folks know about, put it on the radio. If you want to tell our dedicated Shark listeners about your business or event, click advertise at shark102.3.com and put it on the radio.